I'm really intrigued about the hats you wore. I mean, the two practices that you kept going simultaneously, the medical practice and the filmmaking practice. What were the challenges of maintaining both, making a film and maintaining your medical career?
Well, there's being a physician and there's being a training physician. And early on in the process, we knew that it would be quite cheapening to my training if I was going to do less hours than my other classmates. You know, the point of residency, of course, is to be sort of all in. It's a self-consuming process. The problem and the challenge, of course, is that directing is by default a all-consuming process, and it ought to be. How do you do two of those at once? And I think that certainly there were some personal struggles I had with it, particularly with sleep and health and just sort of being human. But I have to say, I mean, it's something that I absolutely loved on two accords. I loved being a physician. I loved that institution. And I think I loved the idea of sharing this story with the world and to have the support of someone like Dr. Newton, to have the support of esteemed filmmakers to my left, your right, to have an incredible editor like Josh Altman. Those were the things at the end of the day, I think, that kept me going, and there would be no film without them.
Linda worried a lot about your health.
And my mom did too. She's here tonight. But the frank math of it is it's about 80 hours a week as a resident, and then, you know, for all of you who have certainly shot or cut a film, you know the work that it takes, and there's at some point the math adds up to something that's, you know, difficult.
But with regard to the medical tract, what were some of the tools and the skill sets that were transferable to filmmaking?
I'm so happy you asked that, because it's incredible how much of a transference there is to particularly, I think, directing. I would say that there is this moment in a medical case where you may not know the answer immediately, even if you're experienced. You may sort of feel like you're in between a sort of a rock and a hard place, and it's like, clinically, what are you going to do? You're permitted, of course, to debate to yourself internally about what you're going to do, but you can't show that uncertainty to your team, your nurses, your co-residents. You can't show that fear or that uncertainty, and boy, is that the same with directing. There's plenty of times where you're in a rock and a hard place narratively. You're not sure where it's going to go from there. You've got to figure out how to rely on your team in a positive way without losing their confidence. I'm not sure if I was always successful as that, just like I'm not sure if I was always successful at that as a training doctor, but my goodness, is there a hell of a lot of overlap.
And what about the reverse? I mean, were there elements of filmmaking that you found really useful in your medical profession?
There's certainly an element of courage that you need. And that's not in vanity. I think just the idea of saying, you know, listen, you know, I'm going to put my name out there is awfully hard. And sometimes as physicians, we don't have to do that. That's something that's unique to filmmaking. And, you know, this whole time, I've had the frank benefit of knowing I had a fallback. You know, if this film didn't come to fruition, at the end of the day, I would graduate my residency, I'd have a job. I'm always stunned by the fact that there's artists out there who don't have that, who come into this, particularly as documentary filmmakers, and say, I don't know the story, I don't know the subject, will you fund it? And I'm gonna take that journey, and I don't have a fallback. It's extraordinary.
Hello.
We,
Hello.
Everybody in this room.
we pretend that we know the story.